Okay, sorry that abruptly cut off. I should have been watching the time better, but I was kind of getting into what we were talking about. Okay, so part two. Um, as I was saying, so here are some more examples. I'm going to make it big again. Okay, so we were looking at some more examples of the kids' water cycle writing. Like, so this is from this current year, around 2019, 2020. Um, uh, you can see three very different levels of writing, I guess, or styles of writing. The first and the third one are more of just a narrative, and I can give you a minute to read them. The middle writing, I allowed a lot of students like that graphic novel type comic strip writing. That particular student chose to illustrate and then add some speech bubbles from all three writings. And then the third writing is actually a, um, excuse me, special ed student, all third graders. The third one is a special ed student, ESOL, English language learner. You can see that he had done some writing, and then I wrote underneath. He dictated what he had written to me. He was able to reread, read his writing back to me, and explain the water cycle. In all three examples of writing, I can assess the student's understanding of the water cycle. They had to incorporate, or they had to include each stage: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and then collection, when the water collects at the ground level. Um, the third one said they collected in the sewer. That was fine. It's on the ground. The other one looks like it's in a body of water. Um, but I can assess the students' writing as well as their science understanding, um, understanding of the water cycle. So these are kind of fun to have. Um, Another example that I wanted to show you, I have to show you in my hands. This particular student, also English language learner, she decided to make a book. Again, I bound it, and it's got a copyright date, published author, The Raindrops Life. Um, the, I photocopied her writing, so obviously her illustration isn't very clear. It says, "Hi, my name is Droppy. I am a water drop. My life is very hard. You might say, but you don't do anything. I know, but I always fall over and over and over again." Okay, illustration. Whoops, let's see. Illustration. I'm able to assess her writing. She used quotation marks. She's kind of using that narrative, fun writing, but you don't do anything. Putting some life into her writing. Um, my this this is what my life is. First, I'm chilling on the ground in the stage collection. Then the sun warms me up. Then I float up. By the way, it's called evaporation. When I float up, it is fine. And here you can see her illustration. She's included the word collection, evaporation, narrative writing. You can hear that tone in her writing. Then I land in a cloud. This is called, or in a cloud and condense. It starts to get very heavy, and I start to fall as precipitation. I love chilling. Here she's the raindrops sitting on the cloud. Not again. The raindrops arms are up like, oh, here I go. I'm getting ready to fall. Then I fall, and it starts over and over and over again. But by now, I'm used to it. And now but I'm used to it now, and that is my life as a little raindrop. Do I know she knows the water cycle? Yes. Does she understand narrative writing? Yes. Does she have story, plot, um, problem, solution? Yes, she has all those story elements. So I can assess that way. And it's way more fun than just taking a little quiz on the water cycle, correct? All right. Let's see here. All right. Here's another example from a couple of years ago. What my students, this class published a book. They decided as a class they wanted to research gemstones. They each picked a gemstone and wrote from the perspective of the gem to teach about themselves. Hi, my name is Diamond. I'm an awesome, cool diamond. I'm a precious stone. A lot of people would love to own me. You can find me about 90 miles below the ground. I am all around the world. I am clear and shiny and reflect light and kind of have a yellow color. And you can see in the illustration some other things about a diamond, about mining for it and things like that. All right, so you're going to have some time to write. I'm going to ask you again in a minute after I give directions to pause the video, take some time to write, and kind of get into the mindset of these students, that they're similar to the work that I've shared with you. Okay, so using the link below, you're going to read about cheetahs. I already selected what you're going to read about, but then you're going to write a narrative from the point of view of that animal. You're going to teach the audience about the cheetah without saying what animal you are. So you're going to say something like, hi, my name is, I don't know, Speckles. I don't know, whatever you want. And then you're going to write a narrative to teach about that, about your life as a cheetah. You may want to model some of the writing samples that I just shared and be creative. So that National Geographic link is down below. You're going to click on that and it's going to open up the website. I use this website. I'll just click on it for you. I mean, you're going to need to go to it, but it's going to take a minute to load. I use this website a lot. It's very kid-friendly. When I presented this in person, what I did was, and you could do this with your students, print out various animals so that everybody pretty much had a different one. Sometimes people would have the same animal, but you're just going to spend some time to read and then write a little story teaching about the cheetah. And then we'll chat, see all those animals. Okay, so you're going to read about the cheetah. So go ahead and pause me. But make sure to come back. Okay, so maybe after writing in person, we would have shared those out. It was very interesting the times that I have presented in person when we all shared out. They were all different, clearly, right? And that's going to happen with your students as well. They're all going to be different, but they're all going to be great, and they're all going to be individual, and you're going to see your students' personality come out in their writing. And that's what we want to start to see with our writers. It's gotten fun when I've presented in person because it's almost like one would read and then you would see others like trying to write to be even more creative, and that'll happen with your writers in your classroom as well. They'll try to like one up each other, which is awesome. That's what we want of our students. So hopefully you have a cute little writing story about cheetahs, and then you could take it to your classrooms and teach your students that narrative writing like that. So our third stage of writing is exactly what I've just shown you. That narrative. It's the moving into the poetic writing. So we had expressive writing where we were just trying to get as many ideas down as we could. And then I'm going to make this big again. That transactional writing, we were just trying to teach and inform your reader, to this poetic writing, the narrative, such as these narratives. Okay, so the poetic stage of writing is using language as an art medium, poetry and fiction, it's narratives, it's more entertaining. And it's a little bit more of a dynamic type of writing rather than just expressing your idea. So you can see how by giving students ample opportunities to just express themselves through writing, just to jot down their ideas in their day books, in their math notebooks, in their exit tickets, writing down book reviews on a post-it note and putting them up, just writing down their thoughts, to then moving into that transactional writing where they're teaching, they're explaining something, and then into that poetic writing, like the narratives, where they're putting a lot of their own personality on or in their writing and through their writing. All right. So the last stage of nonfiction writing, did we do them all? Yeah, so we had the expository, informational, narrative, persuasive, and we have descriptive. So this is our third type of nonfiction writing, is persuasive. And so persuasive, we know, is when I'm looking at the time, writer argues a position, takes a side on an issue. Persuasive writing comes from the heart. Otherwise, it just feels dry and just like an assignment. So this goes back to our ecosystems, where we had then written our nonfiction animal books. We had done all this research on ecosystems. I had created this Google Classroom where they had links to research and learn about living and non-living organisms in a particular ecosystem. They did become the experts on that ecosystem. From that, they took notes. So this was writing down things that they had learned. There were other slides where they typed information in, notebooks that they wrote notes in, lots of writing. They became the experts and had to present to the class what they had learned. Okay, and so then the last part of this, or an aspect, I guess not just the last, but an aspect of this ecosystem presentation, was to write a persuasive letter convincing someone that they needed to be traveling to their particular ecosystem. And it's always funny because kids always want to write about the rainforest or the Arctic. So when you get something like the swamp, you're maybe a little less than enthusiastic about it. But they had to then convince their reader why their ecosystem is the best and why they should be visiting that ecosystem. So here's an example of their persuasive letters, of a student's persuasive letter they had to write. I'm going to pause here and I'll record the remainder from this point on. Let me pause. Oopsie. Sorry.